I got a new desk. You can sit on it, you can stand on it, well you can sit on it, but sit at it. Manual crank, but that's just gonna be very good for one arm. But I'm very happy. There's a lot more room and space for my stuff and movements and everything, so I'm very pleased. Finally a big boy desk, so now I should do some big boy stuff. Like work on residual. After the intro. How high does it actually? I haven't tried how high it goes. Let's just see. That's pretty high. All right, slightly less high, please. I'm moving it down. A new desk, and I must say it feels very comfortable, and a lot of people already commented on my Twitter and Instagram about the picture of the desk. I know this chair, eventually there will be a better chair here, but to be honest, I've been using it for 5 or 6 years and I'm very comfortable in the chair, so it's not a real big thing, but yeah, a nice chair fitting this nice desk. Anyway, enough about the desk. Let's talk about Residual, the game I've been working on for 6-7 months, for some months now. Let's talk about the highlights, the key features I've been working on this week. I've been mostly focusing on making it more easy for new players to understand what's going on, because there's just a lot of information going on and a lot of stuff happening and a lot of things you have to figure out. So we need to guide new players by the hand and hopefully give them all the little tools and information and notification thingies that they understand what's going on. And that's been my main focus this week. Let's just dive in and I'll show you a couple of the new features. So let's start with the first thing. These twirly little things you see right here and right here. I already had these, but they were black and grayish and not very clear. Now they're much more clear, and I did them in a much better way code-wise. They pretty much tell the player there's something there, I hope. A lot of games use these, so I hope it's kind of second nature for most gamers and they will understand that there's something there that you can figure out and do with. So these twirly things were originally just on the devices we have in the game, but I now also made them, hang on, place this right here, so all the devices get them automatically, but I've also added them on top of resources. So this resource right here, it will show you that there's something there and you can investigate, because a lot of these resources just look like rocks and that could have been a little bit confusing to a lot of players. So we now have all these things above them, and as soon as you analyze something, the game just figures that the player will understand how it looks and what it is. It will not keep reminding you of those things. And here we have another one. Analyze it. It's graphite, and at that point no more twirlies above the graphite. Also no more twirlies above the econium, because, well, you figured out what it is, the game told you what it is, the rest is up to the player. I don't really like games that keep holding hands until the end of the game. Just use a little bit of your memory to remember stuff and move around the game world. So these twirly things are now a little bit of an improvement over what I already had. Originally they were in code and only certain devices were popping them up. Now all these devices that require these things will just give a little notification to the world, and the world will take care of drawing all these twirly things. Unless you already analyzed it, or the player already knows about it, or the device just doesn't have any function at that point. I hope this will help the player at least navigate the early stages of the game. At some point you should hopefully be more comfortable with the mechanics of this game, and you'll understand that you can research stuff and figure out what it is. But at the start, when you're a new player and you're diving in for the first time, we need to make sure everything is as clear as possible. So that was my goal with these twirly things, and I still have no good name for it. Notification marker, twirly things. Another problem I had was with the inventory system, or not so much the inventory system, but just all the stuff that quickly piles up in your inventory system. You can just walk in certain areas and pick up stuff, analyze stuff, and there's so much happening that you have no idea what you just picked up. It's in your inventory and you'll have to search for it somehow, but you're not really sure what you're looking for. So for that reason, we now have, we all seen the little notification dots. In like a few years time, we've all come to learn that if there's a red dot somewhere, there's a new message for you. So the inventory system now shows you red dots for everything that's new in your inventory. And I must say, it's like a little tiny red dot, but it does trigger me to check out that item, because I now know I haven't checked it out yet. It's in my inventory. What is it? I want to get rid of that red dot. It's scary how we all got used to that, but for games, it actually works. So let me just show you in the game we had going. Continue the game, open the inventory. We just picked a bunch of resources, and as you can see here, there's new stuff in the tools, new stuff in the items, and new stuff in the resources folder of your inventory. These little red dots are very interesting. Let's just dive in here. What's new? Well, we used the field generator, so it doesn't have a dot anymore. We haven't used the phaser yet, and as soon as you read it or just activate it for a few seconds, the red dot disappears. And then finally we here have a CPU, which we just grabbed from the computer. So all the new stuff that's in your inventory will now have a little red dot next to it. Our new resources, Econium is new and Graphite is new. Now we read about them, so they won't be red anymore, and all the new stuff we pick up after this, all the new resources, will have a new red dot, which a very silly, simple system to implement. And like I said, it's very scary how comfortable we got with having red dots and being notifications and wanting them to get out of our lives as quickly as possible by reading them. And besides all these little things, I also added tips to the loading screen. So if you're starting a new planet, there will be a little tip at the bottom of the screen. I always enjoy these little things. I've seen it in a lot of AAA games. I rarely see it in indie games. Not sure why. Maybe because our loading times are much shorter than AAA games, so there's less time to read. But I've been adding them to a couple of games. Space Grunts 2 had them, I think. Ashworld has them. And even now, if I go back to Ashworld and I forgot most of the game, these tips actually help me as well. So I'm adding tips as much as I can, and just hopefully all to help the player get into this game, because there's just a lot of stuff going on in this game. And last week's devices being connected, some of you commented maybe it's a feature creep, maybe you're adding too much stuff to it. And don't worry, I think I'm still on the right track and on goal and on target. It's also not so much feature creep, it's more fleshing out the features that I already added to the game, because sometimes I just add features to a game pretty quickly. As you can see on this channel, I'll come up with something like procedural life forms. I still have to flesh that out a little bit, but the idea is now in the game, and I just wanted to see if it fits and if it works, and it does. So at some point I'll start adding more features to those creatures and start adding more heads and bodies and more variation to it. I just needed to see if it works. Same with devices, having a couple of devices and then figuring out that I just needed to do a lot more with these devices in the game. Mining, storage, compressing, a lot of stuff. And then connecting it all up, it just made sense, and it's not so much extra features as just more fleshing out the features that are in the game already. And talking about fleshing out those ideas, I've added new resources, and we're now a few steps closer to fixing the spaceship, which was actually the main thing I wanted this game to have. You crash land on a planet, you have to fix your spaceship with whatever is there. Almost there. I think I'm 2, maybe 3 steps away, or missions away from completing that. And those are tiny missions. Right now we are already at the phase of fixing it, repairing it. And since this week we can also collect fuel for it, so that we actually have fuel to get off the planet. But there's just one tiny little problem. Hang on, I'm gonna open a GIMP and show you. Here we go. Hang on. So this is our crash spaceship, and that's the only image I have of the crash spaceship. Of course, it has to be tilted slightly because this is the tiny version in the intro scene, and this does not look like that. I need to create a completely new image for the spaceship. The problem being, I don't have a repaired spaceship image. There is no image of the completely fixed spaceship. There's just this image, which is partly a spaceship and partly underground, so you don't see it. But I need to actually make a spaceship that can fly off the planet. So there's just a tiny problem. I need to draw a bunch of pixels and need to rotate this image so that it actually looks like... I'm gonna figure it out how to do it in the best way, maybe with a lot of smoke effects that you won't see the transition from one image to the other. But we need to fix this. And that's it for this week's video. I think I'm on schedule for this game's release. I'm not saying it's gonna be released in January, but my own deadline was have a fully playable game in January. There might still be a bunch of features I want to add in January and February, but I need to have this first playable version in January for myself. It's my own goal target, and in the last couple of weeks I have to admit that I wasn't really sure if that was even realistic, but after this week I think it's realistic. I'm really focusing on the things that need to be added, with here and there a little distraction like the whole devices situation last week. But mostly I'm working on the stuff that I really need in this game and really need to add before we can actually call it a releasable version or a releasable game or whatever. And after that, I think there's still room for a bunch of features and updates and stuff I want to implement and can easily build on everything that's already in the game. Because there's a lot of stuff already and a lot of code in this game, and most of it is built in systems which I really enjoy and like working on. So it's very easy to modify certain things and add certain things that work within the system, and it's just a lot of fun working on this game, which is amazing after so many months. Usually at this stage I'm at the stage that I think we should wrap it up and work on that other idea I have in my head, but I'm not gonna, because I'm still enjoying this game too much to be working on it, and I still enjoy starting it up and just running around the planet. It's getting better every week, which yeah, it's pretty cool. And if you're a patron or a Kickstarter backer, really check it out. You have access if you lost it or forgot how to get to the game. Poke me on Discord and I'll set you up. It's really getting better and better every week, and I'm starting to work on the save game feature. So right now it's no save game, it's just every time you start the game, that's it. If you're gonna quit the game, whatever you did is lost. So save game option is obviously it's gonna be in the game, but I've been delaying it a lot because I just need to know all the stuff that needs to be saved and what's important. I've been sorting it out in between all the other stuff so that there's now a bunch of code and comments added everywhere, so that I know this should be saved and stored, and this is important, this isn't, and almost there. And that's it for this week's video, because I got nothing else to say. I just want to continue working on the game, which is exciting. See you next week. Bye. But I think this worked. Yes, that's it. And if you haven't corrected, another problem I had